Hello, this is Angelia, and you're listening to or watching the podcast, Why You Do What You Do. Podcast that talks about human development and psychology to help you figure out maybe a little bit more about why you do what you do. And there are going to be some changes to the podcast. We've been doing 30 minutes since I started doing this, and I've kind of taken on some more things, and I'm not getting a lot of things done that I want to get done after this during the day, and things are taking longer. So we're cutting the podcast to 15 minutes. I know it's going to disappoint some people, but it's going to help me. So hopefully that's still, good enough for you. Now, last time we were talking about physical activity, and we're going to take up on that again. Despite all these advantages of exercise, only 44.3% of U.S. 18 to 24-year-olds and 52.6% of men and 36% of women engage in regular leisure time physical activity, and the percentages drop with age. So, we're not exercising enough, and the older we get, the worse we are at it. That's why the middle-aged folks got the spare tire and all that stuff. Just, a fact of life. We need to get better. If adults, and children as well, engaged in 30 minutes of moderate physical activity daily, an estimated 250,000 deaths a year could be avoided, most of them from cardiovascular disease. And now that's a good number that they put out there for about 30 minutes. Like I said, mine's less because I have osteoarthritis and osteosclerosis. I get the good, 15 minutes a day, 10 to 15. Most time it's about 14, 15 minutes. So I am making an effort, and everybody should be making an effort because, it's your body. It's the only one you get for your rest of your life. So, 250,000 people are a lot of people that can be saved if they would just get off their booty and exercise. Smoking. Smoking is the leading preventable cause of death in the United States. So, still, there's a lot of people who smoke, and it'll kill you. It's the worst thing you can do is inhaling carcinogens into your lungs. Makes sense. Kills about 400,000 people yearly. And diabetes, and it disables millions of people. If the smoking don't kill you, it's certainly going to do a number on you. When victims of passive smoking, inhaling other people's smoke, are added, the death toll may reach more than 450,000 people. Now, like I said, I had an uncle who quit smoking, in the early 90s. Almost 20 years later, he passed away from lung cancer. So, smoking, and even people smoking around you, it can do a number on your lungs. It's terrible for you. And if you smoke and this could happen to you, so you need to stop. Get in the program and stop smoking. Despite these risks, 25% of the U.S. population uses tobacco regularly. So, people know this is going to happen, and they're like, it ain't going to happen to me, and so they still do it. But, yeah, it probably is. Worldwide, 1/3 of adults smoke cigarettes. Oh, my. There's a little gnat flying around here. And half of all persistent smokers, more than 4 million people each year, die from smoking-related diseases. So that's a lot of people. 4 million people die from smoke-related diseases. By 2020, tobacco use amounted for 1/3 of all adult deaths in the world. So, 1/3 of adult deaths were smoking-related. That's crazy. That's crazy. And it's something that's preventable. So, it amazes me that people are still doing this to themselves. The link between smoking and lung cancer is well established. Smoking and exposure to environmental smoke are estimated to be responsible for about 90% of lung cancer in the United States. There's only 10%, could be asbestos, secondhand or whatever. 90% of lung cancers come from smoking. So, I mean, if you look at it that way, if you're a smoker, you get a 90% chance of lung cancer. So, not odds I'm interested in. Smoking is also linked to cancer of the stomach, liver, larynx, mouth, and esophagus, bladder, kidney, pancreas, and cervix, to gastrointestinal problems such as ulcers, to respiratory illnesses such as bronchitis and emphysema, to osteoporosis and heart disease. So not only can it give you lung cancer, it can affect all the other parts of your body. They got a commercial running now about Brugger's disease where a lady had to have her toes removed. So, I mean, you just, it's just dumb to smoke, and you just shouldn't do it. Secondhand smoke exposes non-smokers to the same carcinogens as active smokers inhale. Not only cigarettes, but also cigars, pipes, and other forms of smoking can be harmful. So, if you have kids, think about that. You're exposing them to secondhand smoke, and you can cause them to have cancer later on. I have asthmatic bronchitis, but I also have allergies. But for all I know, that could have been because my father smoked. I don't know. And my grandmother and uncles, at that house. Smokers are 5 times as likely as non-smokers to have heart attacks in their 30s or 40s. So think about that. Most older folks, get up there in their 50, 60, 70 years. That's when the clogging starts, giving you heart attacks. But smokers are doing it in their 40s and 50s. So smokers are way ahead of the game on having heart attacks. Passive smoke, even for as short a time as 30 minutes, has been shown to cause circulatory dysfunction and to increase the risk of cardiovascular disease in young Japanese men. And that's where the study was done. I don't quote the studies by the person and the year because, we're not doing a, professional paper and dissertations and things like that. If you want to Google it and figure it out, that's up to you. But, as the risks become known, smoking in the United States declined more than 37% after 1965. So people started figuring out, hey, Grandpa smoked all his life, and by 40 he looked like crap, had lung cancer, emphysema, and all this stuff. Maybe there's a connection. And then they found the connection. The Surgeon General's like, hey, you know what? So, people started getting a little smarter about it. Currently, about 22% of American adults age 18 and over, 24.5% of men, and 20% of women are smokers. So you're doing yourself in. If you're sucking this stuff into your lungs, you're doing yourself in. However, smoking is more prevalent among 18 to 25-year-olds. About 38% smoke cigarettes and about 10% smoke cigars. So the young folks are the ones who thinks it's cool to smoke. And I remember being young, I had 1 or 2 in my day. Thought it was kind of cool to be smoking out there at the bus stop. But, I didn't like it. I didn't like the taste. I didn't like sucking stuff into my lungs. So I didn't do it. I didn't keep up with it. But some people do. So, if your young person starts taking up that cig, talk to him about it. Say, hey, I don't want you to die of cancer. Stop smoking. Go get in the program, get the patch, whatever you need to do. Stop smoking. Because I love you and I don't want you to die. In view of the known risks of smoking, why do so many people do it? One reason is that smoking is addictive. We all have heard about the nicotine. And, it is. It's addictive. Your brain gets used to it. The brain likes it. It's just like a controlled substance that isn't as controlled as it should be. A tendency to addiction may be genetic, and certain genes may affect the ability to quit. Like I said, I've talked before about having alcoholics in my family, and smoking is the same way. You get addicted to it. Your brain doesn't want to give it up. You stop trying to smoke, and then you start getting the jitters, and you know, you get hungry and things. You know, I remember my father stopped smoking, and then we used to jokingly call him the Grouch. Well, boy, he was the Grouch then. But, you know, he gained a little weight and everything, but then he finally got over it and stopped smoking, you know. Giving up smoking reduces the risk of heart disease and stroke. So when you stop smoking, you're reducing your risk of having a heart attack and a stroke. So that's a good thing, because those are things that can do you in. Men and women who stop smoking have virtually no greater risk of heart attack or of dying from heart disease within 3 to 20 years than those who never have smoked. So that's a pretty good, you know, odd. But like I said, my uncle still ended up dying of lung cancer, and even after he quit smoking. But he was a chain smoker, smoked, you know, from the time he was a kid to the time he was, you know, I guess in his 70s. So, you know, some of that's hard to do that quick, you know. Nicotine chewing gum, nicotine patches, and nicotine nasal sprays and inhalers, especially when combined with counseling, can help addicted persons taper off gradually and safely. And I remember my dad had some of the gum, and he's like, he wasn't a fan, but, you know, like I said, he quit, so kudos to him for that, you know, and you can do it. So if you're still smoking, quit, you know, quit. Do it for yourself or your family. Alcohol. The United States is a drinking society, and yes, we are. Especially here where I live, bourbon capital of the world. Advertising equates liquor, beer, and wine with the good life and with being grown up. So, you know, advertising makes it look cool to be out there drinking and having fun. But the truth is, you know, if you drink too much, you're not having fun. You don't even remember what you were doing. So, you know, about 60% of 21 to 35-year-olds report using alcohol at least once a month. 21-year-olds are the heaviest drinkers, which makes sense because in most states you have to be 21 to drink. So when they hit that 21st birthday, they're like showing that ID. Give me a beer, you know, give me a wine, whatever you want to drink. I know on my children's 21st birthday, we'd go out and take them out to the birthday party, and you know that was a big deal to them. They could order a beer or whatever, you know. So you know, them 21-year-olds are now old enough to drink, and they're going to exercise that right. But before that point, or at that point, you can have a talk with them and say you need to drink responsibly. 1 or 2 drinks with a meal, you know, that's fine. 1 or 2 drinks with your friends, switch to Coke the rest of the night. You don't have to tell them, you know, what you're drinking. It could be a Jack of Coke as far as they know. They don't know it's not a drink. It's a regular Coke. But stop. Know your limit and stop. Don't drink to get drunk. It even says that in the Bible. You know, be responsible. College is a prime time and place for drinking. And we've all heard the horror stories about college and hazing and stuff like that. So if anybody's telling you to, you know, drink large quantities of alcohol, just say no. Although frequent drinking is common at this age, college students tend to drink more and more heavily than their non-collegiate peers. So, you know, when them kids start going off to college, you can have a little talk with them and say, hey, you know, there's going to be some drinking. I don't want you to be drinking to get drunk. I know you're going to want to have fun, but you can do that without being drunk. And in fact, it's more fun if you're not drunk because you'll remember what you did. And you're not puking everywhere. So, about 4 out of 5 college students use alcohol, and about 2 out of 5 binge drink. So, again, over half your college students are out there chugging. So, like I say, kid goes off to college, you need to have a talk with them about this. It might go in one ear and out the other. I had one, went to college, and all our good talks clearly just didn't stick. There was some things he did that wasn't really great. At least 1 in 2 weeks. So binge drinking at least 1 in 2 weeks. Individual drinking patterns are influenced by genetic and other biological characteristics, family and cultural backgrounds, previous drinking in high school, and the college environment. So all these things can come into play. And like I said, if they're addictive personality, just like we talked about the smoking, they're more likely to binge drink and drink a lot till they're drunk. So, I think why we never did that so much is we were allowed to have, alcohol when we were younger. We come from a family that has German lineage, and we were allowed to have a beer with some pizza, and when we got older, like for holidays and things, we were allowed to have a little wine on New Year's Eve. And so to us, it wasn't that big a deal, ooh, alcohol, it's like, meh, so, that, I guess, is a thing, and that's why actually there's less alcoholics in Europe than there is here in the United States, and that's because it's more commonplace over there. It's just part of life, the kids have some watered down wine with dinner, younger folks can go to a pub and get a beer, so to them it's not the forbidden fruit that it is here in the U.S. I mean, in the 80s, the county where my husband and I have farmed was a dry county. So America kind of made it the forbidden fruit, and we even had, the prohibition back in the day. So anytime you make a thing of forbidden fruit, people are going to do it more. So, hopefully society has learned from that and not made it like that. But you definitely want to talk to your kids before they go off to college, and in general, that getting drunk is not a good thing. It can cause accidents. It can cause alcoholism. So that's something that, they definitely do not want to get into. And that's where I'm going to leave it today. Hopefully it's helped you figure out maybe a little bit more about why you do what you do. Excuse me. Please like or goodness. Please like and share this educational program so we can spread it around the world. If you want to help me out, subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you want to help me out even more, excuse me, go to my Patreon page and become a patron. That's all. Until next time.